All right. What is good, everybody? Yo, 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 what is good? It is the godfather of VR and gaming, the ageless wonder, the man Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with another video. Want to talk a little bit about Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Although I am VR centric and play mostly VR games, I did take a look at this. I did. I was able to get a 5 day rental from the local video store. They called me up and told me that I could get a free 5 day rental. So what better game, or what better game to go ahead and rent for 5 days? So I didn't dive too deep into it, but I played it enough that I think I can have an opinion of at least the graphics and the gameplay. Um, and even this situation with the performance issues of the Xbox One X. Um, some more details emerged. I touched on this a little bit on Live from Wakanda with the Titanfall Princess, but a few more details have emerged since doing that podcast yesterday. And so, um, getting right down to it, the graphics, the cutscenes are incredible. For whatever reason, it looks a little bit dark in here. I don't know why, um, but in any case, the cutscenes are incredible. Um, I don't know. The cutscenes on this game, you could argue, might be the best looking cutscenes that I've ever seen in any game, exclusive, third party, what have you. But I will say that if you look closely during the cutscene, once it gets ready to go into actual gameplay, you can see how it transitions from photolistic, photorealism cutscenes into like gameplay. Then it looks a little more, video gamey, but the cutscenes look realistic, photorealistic. It almost looks so real that it's obvious that they did some motion capture with the cutscenes, but it looks so real that it almost looked like they went with the actual real footage and then gave it a slight glaze to give it a slight video game look. I mean, that's the way it looks to me. Um, but I think they did something like this before. This isn't the first time that I've seen a Call of Duty game where the cutscenes look realistic. And it was obvious. They did some motion capture. I can't remember which one of the games it was, but it was last generation. One of those games, the cutscenes looked realistic on that one as well. But when it came down to actual gameplay, then it looked video gamey. So, I mean, here, same thing. As far as the video game graphics goes, during actual gameplay, it does look good. I don't, I don't think it's the best that I've ever seen, but it still looks good. But the cutscenes is it pretty much separated itself from a lot of games with the cutscenes because they do look amazing. They look so realistic. But let's see here now. Gameplay feels a little bit. It feels a lot. What do I mean a little bit? It feels a lot like past Call of Duty games, and but they got a lot. It's got several game modes that I do like, even though it feels like the same Call of Duty. I think they had a mode called Cyber Attack where you try to grab a bomb and then try to plant it at the enemy's base. I do like that because it slows the game down a little bit. Because one of the things that I really didn't care for with Call of Duty is that it's always been a fast-paced run and gun game. Uh, with team deathmatch and free for alls, yeah, it's still fast-paced. But I think with the cyber attack, I think it slows the game down a little bit. Even ground war, I think slows the game down a little bit. And these are large scale battles, which I do like those as well. It's a lot of similar to the Battlefield games where you're trying to capture objectives and hold these objectives for as long as possible. But I do like the large map on those ones because that was something that Call of Duty has been needing for the longest. All these past Call of Duty games that had these really small maps made the sniper rifle virtually useless. Um, because by the time you even get your scope up, you're already dead because of how, because of these maps being close quarter maps, and you really, the sniper class was useless. But they finally put some large scale maps in there, and now you can use the sniper rifle for what it's supposed to do. You can. Um, take the high ground and then try to, take out your enemies that's down below or from a distance, what have you. But this is something that should have happened a long time ago. They finally did it. It is cool. And that part I do like as well. There's a couple other modes that I can't remember that I do like, um, but when it comes to first-person shooter games, I'm not really a big fan of fast-paced run-and-gun games. I like slow, strategic games. That's why Rainbow Six is definitely one of my favorite games as far as flat games go. Um, and I think that's a lot of the first-person shooter games in VR, they're not fast-paced like Call of Duty. Um, Game like Contractors, I think it's a medium-paced game. Firewall is definitely a slower paced game. That's more my speed, where some strategy is needed. Communication is needed. I definitely like those kind of games. So, so yeah, the gameplay mechanics feels like the same Call of Duty, but the different modes do give it, you know, uh, some much needed variety. And like I said, a couple of the modes on there I like because it does slow the game a little bit, slow it down a little bit, and actually adds a little bit of strategy to the game. So that's cool. So my take on it is, I think if you all were already a Call of Duty fan, a hardcore Call of Duty fan, then you're definitely gonna love this, in my opinion. Me, I still kind of have a meh, attitude about the game. I don't think it's a bad game. It's just me being a little bit biased because of how much I love VR. But I do think it's a decent game. If I was a person who was a Call of Duty nut, I probably would have gave this game an 8 or a 9. But because I'm so deep into VR, I'd probably say I have to give this game a 7. And the reason why I say that is because, um, 9 times out of 10, if I'm in the mood to play a first-person shooter game, I'm probably gonna play something on VR over this. But I can say the same thing about Rainbow Six, even though it's one of my favorite first-person shooter games, flat screen. I would give that a 7 because I feel the same way. I would much rather play a VR game versus playing one of these. But I do think they're both I think they're both good games. So, so don't take the 7 as me bashing the game. It's not. It's just me. It's just how much I like VR. Um, Now the situation with this game causing Xbox One X's to crash. So, from what I understand about this game, it's supposed to be 60 frames per second, but none of the consoles are holding a consistent 60 frames per second. And I guess, starting from the bottom, the Xbox One is the worst. Um, I can't remember what they said the frame rate was, what it was dipping down to, but I guess all of them got frame rate dips. Next up was the PS4, the standard PS4. Um, you know what? But let me go back. I guess like in addition to the worst frame rate, the Xbox One also had the worst resolution because I think they were saying one particular YouTuber was stepping around it and trying to sidestep it, and saying that it was less than 1080p, but wouldn't really give a number. Um, I think the PlayStation is running at about 1080p. Next up, I guess some people act like they're surprised about it, but I'm not. The Xbox One X was next up. Um, it, I guess, in terms of a game that hits the highest resolution, it looks the best out of the four consoles. Um, but that one is also suffering from frame drops or frame dips, and the resolution is dynamic. I guess at times it will hit 4K, and this YouTuber who was being a little bit evasive about giving specific numbers was saying that at times it dips to half of 4K, and we know that 4K is 2160p, which tells me that at times this game on the Xbox One X probably dips down to 1080p, maybe even lower. So I guess the resolution is dynamic on the Xbox One X. I don't know what the resolution is on the PlayStation Pro, because that person didn't specifically say what the resolution was, but I guess it performed the best. With frame rates probably dropping down to 56 frames per second, not enough that you would probably notice it. But I guess the frame dips on like the Xbox One, yes, you can notice it. Now going on to this issue with this game causing the Xbox One X's to crash. This really isn't a surprise to me. We already know that if you try to push the Xbox One X to the max, that it appears that the graphics card and the processor just can't seem to coexist. And from what I'm gathering, I posted an article that Xbox One X's are crashing, but I guess this particular YouTuber was saying that, I guess in detail, I guess it sounds like the game is putting such a stress on the Xbox One X that it's causing the console to overheat and shut off on people. And I guess some people it's even like shut off like 2 or 3 times within an hour. So I'd say the reason why that doesn't exactly surprise me is because I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft tried to tell Activision that the Xbox One X version of this game has to look better than the PlayStation, because that's been, I've heard that a few times where Microsoft has told developers that the PlayStation version cannot look better than the Xbox, that the Xbox version has to look better than the PlayStation version, otherwise they would not be allowed to put the game on the Xbox. So I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft told Activision that if you're going to put this game on our platform, the X version has to look better than the Pro version, because I'm led to believe that if they would have put this game at the same resolution that the PlayStation Pro is at, then it probably would have performed the same. But that's kind of crazy that you got a game that's running at a dynamic resolution and the shit is still crashing, the shit is still overheating. Areas where there's a lot of action, then yeah, that's going to put more of a strain on the game. But parts of the game where there's nothing going on, that's I'd imagine that's not going to tax the processor too much. But still, that's kind of crazy that a game running, dynamically is still crashing. So I don't know. Maybe I'll dig into it and try to get some more information, but I wouldn't be surprised if the console was crashing on people right in the middle of high traffic, high action parts of the game where a lot of shooting and explosions going on. But I will say that I think if this game would have been Battlefield, uh, it probably would have crashed even more because of the destructible environment on Battlefield. So I don't know, putting on my conspiracy theory hat. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if Activision knew that this game was going to have performance issues if they try to turn the graphics all the way up. But who knows? Maybe they told Microsoft, "Hey, this shit's we got to turn it down to the same resolution as the Pro, otherwise it's going to be some performance issues." And maybe Microsoft told them, turn that shit up anyway because we want our version to look better than the PlayStation Pro. And I'm willing to bet you if there wasn't any performance issues, if they would have turned this shit all the way up, which I'm guessing they probably did, they at least turned it up higher than the PlayStation Pro. I'm willing to bet you that if they had not had any performance issues with this game, you would have had Phil Spencer or somebody from Microsoft jumping up talking about the best version of Call of Duty is on the Xbox One X. Because they definitely ran their mouth about Red Dead Redemption. So, uh, but the game, was crashing right out of the gate, and Microsoft has been noticeably silent about this game. So, there you have it. That's what I think. Maybe this game, maybe Microsoft will get the message, assuming that they're the ones who pull the strings, trying to tell Activision to turn the shit up. Maybe this situation will probably let them know that, hey, you're gonna have to compromise. You're gonna turn these graphics down a little bit if you want this shit to run right. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. That's gonna do it for me. Thanks for watching. I will holler at y'all later. Deuces.